Oira na ngwane na nonda inuni ena beisinga ni mataka.
Mersi sunga da kena loma dina kena mikaron.
Sakena ngau na mitaro bina nonda baksangai ka wala loma taki na ngwane. Dalabina oya wo meliki.
Mulre oya wo Samuel Samuli.
Nama kikira ena be mataka.
Oniti kena makarombuka.
Ni waitini kalima na miniti meona kina tini na kaloko. Ena Radio Fiji 1 na ndomo ibiti.
Pinda na mataka dan ramai na singabo.
In the news tonight, Fiji will only use WHO-approved COVID vaccine. US returns to Paris Agreement, PM rejoices. And more sex workers addicted to drugs.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Edwin Nunn.
Bulawinaka, Fiji. Attorney General and Minister for Economy, Aya Syed Kayum, has indicated that the government is trying its best to access the COVID-19 vaccine. Syed Kayum says meetings with international stakeholders were held as early as last week, and Apanisa Wangairandovu reports Fijians are being advised to be ready as economic activities are expected to pick up once Fiji is successful with the vaccine.
Fiji says she will only use a vaccine that is certified by the World Health Organization, as some vaccines being used in developed parts of the world don't tick all the boxes.
The vaccines, we will get the vaccines. Of course, it's our issue to deal with the issue of when it will come. And of course, from our perspective, we want it yesterday.
Syed Kayum says many vaccines require 2 doses and others require only 1 jab, adding to Fiji's cautious approach in ensuring the right medicine is brought in.
One of them specifically does not require a second round of inoculation. So all of them require 2 doses, so logistical implementation of that.
Speaking to retailers last night, he told businesses to be ready and position themselves because once Fijians are vaccinated and borders open, they should be ready to attract visitors.
There will be a flurry of activity. And in that flurry of activity, the question that you should ask is, how have you positioned yourself? Are you going to be somebody that's going to react to the flurry of activity?
On the retailer side, we are all waiting for the vaccine to come in and help the government by having better prices, as he mentioned yesterday, like tourist price and the local price.
The minister says Fijians must remain positive that the country remains COVID contained, adding businesses must position themselves to welcome a thrive in economic activity. Apanisa Wangairandovu, FBC News.
And Apanisa Wangairandovu joins us live now. Apanisa, how soon can Fiji have a vaccine?
Edwin, Fiji will not rush to get the vaccine as a lot of factors need to be considered. And also, these are some countries who are trialing the vaccine have not seen favorable results. The Minister for Economy also says while the tourism sector and businesses are eagerly awaiting the opening of international borders, the vaccine and the international borders, the government is considering all precautionary measures to ensure that the vaccine that comes to Fiji is safe. He also says the main focus is for Fiji to remain COVID-19 contained until we get the vaccine. In the meantime, businesses are being urged to review their strategies so they can be ready to welcome visitors to our shores. Edwin.
Minaka Apanisa. And turning overseas quickly, Joe Biden has made his first speech from the Oval Office, speaking of the 17 executive actions he plans to take during his first hours as president. The newly inaugurated U.S. president says he will introduce a coronavirus response coordinator to oversee the distribution of vaccines and medical supplies and rejoin the Paris Climate Agreement, amongst other changes. Earlier today, he took the oath of office, becoming the 46th president of the United States. This report from TVNZ. And back home, Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama has welcomed United States President Joe Biden's steps to return the U.S. to the International Paris Agreement. In a tweet, Bainimarama says from the front lines in Fiji that commitment can't come soon enough. He says by putting the climate emergency at the core of their administration, Biden and U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris have more than just a chance to bring America back into the Paris Agreement. He says the two leaders can save the planet as we know it. The use of drugs is becoming more prevalent in prostitution as sex workers use them to overcome fears. Activist Seseini Naitala says the younger sex workers have also been lured into using drugs as they believe it's part of the street prostitution lifestyle. The most common drugs used by sex workers are inhalants and methamphetamine. Kritika Kumar reports.
The activist says at times high-end clients are the ones who introduce hard drugs to young sex workers.
When they have a claim, they come and give drugs to the young ones to come. And they give them money, like big amount of money, just to come and take drugs and entertain the client.
Sex workers are more likely to use drugs to increase confidence and to decrease feelings of guilt and sexual distress.
It's one of the major issues where they do drugs to take away the fears of exposing themselves as sex work.
Ministry of Moms founder Elana Kaloni-Singha says young sex workers get enticed by the drug dealers as they want to earn fast cash.
Dealer comes to you with a $100 bag of meth and says, if you sell this, you can split it into this and you can make 200.
The method used to consume methamphetamine in Fiji is more dangerous when compared to the other countries. The activist says people in overseas countries smoke. However, in Fiji, people are injecting themselves, which is a growing concern. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
Up to 8 cases are seen daily by the post-rape clinics in Suva and Lambasa. A majority of these are sexual crimes, with some cases being reported for the first time. Felipe Naikaso reports.
The number of cases the Medical Services Pacific has been receiving since the setup of its first clinic is nothing short of shocking.
It's an epidemic, if I may say. The numbers are quite staggering. Suva alone on one day in a week, and this is, we're looking at 24/7. So at the moment, the Suva clinic is on a 24/7 mode. But on an average, we are seeing about 6 to 8 clients a day. It's very essential.
The clinic offers a wide range of services like counseling to victims and assist them recovering from heinous crimes that is gripping our country like an addiction.
The youngest that got referred to us by the Fiji Police Force was a 3-month-old baby during the midst of COVID, during March. So I believe that she's maybe the youngest victim. But we've had, from youngest as 3 months, we've got the oldest at 74.
The Medical Services Pacific also believes with the new facility in Lautoka, a lot of unreported cases will be uncovered as victims will find the clinic a safe haven.
I think all of us in this room and the whole nation understands that this subject cannot be a taboo subject. This subject cannot be a subject that we just mispass.
The project is funded by the European Union, designed to support the civil society in strengthening human rights priorities in Fiji.
The impact of COVID-19 on domestic violence is not an hypothesis. It's a certainty.
And we join Felipe Naikaso live now. Felipe, what other services will the clinic offer to the people in the West?
Now, Ed, as mentioned, the clinic will act as a safe haven for victims of sexual crimes. The clinic will offer counseling services to those that have been through this traumatic experience. Now, with 7 staff based at the Lautoka clinic, they will be working very closely with the Fiji Police Force and also the DPP, as majority of these cases are referred to from these 2 institutions. They're also planning to open 24/7, and this is to allow victims or sexual survivors to be able to come to them at any given time of the day. And according to the Medical Services Pacific, one of the reasons that they decided to open up here in Lautoka was that the high number of sexual crimes reported was from the Western Division. Now, with their presence in Lautoka or in the Western Division, they're hoping that victims or survivors can come to them at any time and talk about the experiences that they've been through.
Minaka Felipe. Up ahead, landowners paid off, claims Fiji Pine. And National Register to assist tertiary students.
baik kemudian jadi beratau रेडियो फिजी बहुत रेडियो फिजी रोज सुनता हूँ
रेडियो फिजी 2 देश की धड़कन।
Welcome back. Fiji Pine claims that landowners in Bua have been paid off by a private sawmiller who wants access to overplanted pine areas. Chief Executive Vimlesh Kumar says landowners opposed to Fiji Pine harvesting the excess pine trees have received illegal goodwill payments. Fiji Pine maintains that 268 hectares of overplanted pine belongs to them, and private sawmillers are trying to buy out landowners in Bua.
TLTB has actually stated quite clearly that accepting money from any private party or any private sawmiller paying money directly or making any sort of deals with the landowners directly, that's illegal.
Kumar says the meeting yesterday explained this to aggrieved Matangalis or landowning units, and some have already changed their mind.
Straight after the meeting, actually, 2 Matangalis approached our manager saying that we are willing to give out those overplanted resources to Fiji Pine. They accepted that, and I would say that that's a positive out of this meeting. So,
all payments to landowners for any resource must be channeled through the Itoke Land Trust Board.
What the private sawmillers have done is not in accordance to the law.
Advance payment is one of the ways the Matangali is using to help the financial burden for family, education and other social responsibilities. This is why the Matangali is accepting advance payment, even though it's illegal, because no work has been done yet. But when there is financial challenges, Matangali members will accept those payments.
Fiji Pine has been wanting to harvest the overplanted area since last year and has offered a 30% stumpage fee from the current 12%. Meanwhile, the Fiji Pine Trust remains optimistic there will be no major disruption in supply following the devastation caused by Tropical Cyclone Yasa last month. Manager Lasarusa Turanga says they've mapped out plans to ensure pine supply is not affected after natural disasters. Details with Josayana Nunga.
The trust is relying on other pine scheme areas not affected by the cyclone to meet demand of both local and the international markets.
We are so thankful that apart from the pine plantations that we have here on VT11 Vunolevu, we have pine plantations up there in the islands, in the maritime islands, which we conceive to be a power base in terms of supplies into the pine industry.
Turanga says damage assessment following TCSA is almost complete.
Once we have the rehabilitation process done, together with government, which we are thankful for, and then we'll come in and then we'll ascertain our figures in terms of volume and value of all the pine that has been damaged so far on Vunolevu.
The 3 pine scheme areas in Fiji have managed to earn over $50,000 in the last 2 months. That was the return from the sale of about 86.94 cubic meters of pine from Narovaki in Ngau, as well as Nangara and Ketei in the Lau province.
We're helping other islands in timber utilization and mostly rehabilitation.
It's also a source of income for the outer islands too. It also helps them to promote activities, especially to do with planting and learning a lot of things, especially in planting pines.
The Fiji Pine Trust has also strengthened their operations by responding to the government rehabilitation program in boosting wood production in maritime islands. Josayana Nunga, FBC News.
Tertiary students, especially first-year students, will now be able to easily access information about registered higher education institutions. This follows the establishment of a national register by the Fiji Higher Education Commission. Sainia Nimboila reports.
The National Register is an online platform, a one-stop shop for students doing further studies.
So it's very important because you will determine if the institution that you are studying or maybe you're planning to study in is registered or recognized locally with the Fiji Higher Education Commission, as well as you can see that their programs are accredited.
This platform will guide learners, parents, guardians and organizations to make informed decisions on post-secondary education.
It's the first for Fiji and it's still a work in progress.
Communications Officer Epi Rawala is requesting tertiary students to choose tertiary institutions with accredited courses.
Education is an investment, so you make an investment in education, and you make sure that you are making a secure investment, so that the programs you are taking, towards the end of that, you'll get a qualification that will land you a proper employment.
Programs from the 41 higher education institutions are currently registered under the directory, which can be accessed by students through the Fiji Higher Education Commission website. Sainiani Boyla, FBC News.
Senior executives of the Assemblies of God Church today met with members from the Makoi branch who are unhappy with their pastor. There was a commotion at the Victory Assemblies of God Church in Makoi, Nosori on Sunday as members confronted Pastor Ami Chand and demanded the keys to the church. They accused him of theft and attempted to have him removed as the head of the church by taking a stand after the service. Victory AOG branch secretary Lawrence Nath claims Pastor Chand is abusive towards the congregation, yells at people and is verbally abusive towards small children. Nath claims the church head office had sent senior executives to get the congregation to forgive Pastor Chand. He also alleges that these representatives were not willing to listen to their concerns.
We even don't know our constitution, so we are just nothing. They're not ready to listen to us. So what do we do?
Church executives who were at the meeting earlier today refused to speak to FBC News. Another meeting is being held at the church tonight to try and resolve the situation. Many fishing vessels are facing a shortage of qualified and experienced engineers, captains, mates and crew. General Manager for Solander Pacific, Radhika Kumar, says border closures amid the COVID-19 pandemic have forced vessel expatriates to return home, affecting the different facets of the fishing operations. Josiah Nanunga reports.
Still don't have that many.
Radhika Kumar believes once Fiji ratifies the International Convention on Standards of Training, Certification and Watchkeeping for Fishing Vessel Personnel, things will become easier.
And if we are able to, if Fiji is able to ratify that, we can start getting our people trained into the to work on to fishing boats, so they can get a certificate basically that will qualify them to work on our fishing boat.
Principal lecturer for the Fiji Maritime Academy, Captain Tivita Rombana Kandavu, says it is critical for all fishing skippers to go through proper training at the Maritime Institution.
I believed there was no proper training done in the past for the current fishing skippers.
The shortage of skilled fishing skippers has affected the day-to-day operations of many fishing vessels, particularly Solander Pacific.
We are really struggling at present. We have some of us don't have any boats out fishing there, or some of us have got just few vessels fishing.
A new bycatch guideline was launched today for both skippers and crew and vessel operators to further strengthen bycatch mitigation efforts within Fiji's maritime offshore fisheries sector. Jose Yananunga, FBC News.
And time now for Business with Whitney.
Thanks, Edwin. Coming up in business tonight, Lotoka market vendors see decline in sales. And 260 new investors for SPX. Stay with us.
हमारे सामने नाइक है गोंगवा लुगु लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
Since last year, there's been a huge drop in sales recorded by Lotoka market vendors. The vendors feel that Fijians are not spending like they used to before the pandemic. Felipe Nakoso visited the market and files this report.
The scenario for these market vendors hasn't been good, as majority struggle to sell their produce.
Today, only the vendors here. Very select. Before it was good. On prayers day, they come busy. Saturday busy, Friday busy, but these days no.
Usually the Lotoka market would be a buzz from midweek, but it hasn't been the same since the pandemic. Some of these items have been on their table since last year.
At this time, no, not busy, eh? Yeah, before it's busy. 150 day, like that. Before 400, 500, like that.
Now, to be able to earn money, these dealers have had to slash their prices.
We're hoping, but it's very hard, I think. It's very hard for us to go ahead. We have to put something on the table so that we can sell and get our things too, like bread and butter. Yeah.
Despite the tough times, these vendors remain hopeful that things may take a twist for better. Felipe Naikaso, FBC News.
ANZ Bank's Fiji country head Saud Minam is leaving the post at the end of April. In confirming his departure, Minam says he will remain in Fiji and is looking forward to contributing to the local economy, community and culture. The outgoing head of ANZ has been in the role for 5 years. During his tenure, Minam oversaw the $10 million refurbishment of ANZ's branch network. Regional executive for the Pacific, Tessa Price, says they will advertise the role externally in the coming days. Sharon from HFC Bank joins us now with the latest from the money market.
Good evening. The Aussie and Kiwi dollars resumed their upward march in hope of continued economic recovery. The latest data coming out of Australia showed 50,000 net new jobs were added in December. The economy has now recovered more than 90% of the losses suffered during the coronavirus lockdowns last year. Aussie unemployment rate dropped to a 7-month low of 6.6%, but remains well above the pre-pandemic level of 5.2%. Meanwhile, markets globally looked ahead to more stimulus in the United States under President Joe Biden, as the US dollar showed losses against most major peers, declining for a third day and touching a 3-year low. Looking ahead, the Japanese and European central banks will decide on their monetary policies tomorrow. Although no change is expected, investors will focus on the ECB's economic outlook. And that's it for now from your HFC Bank, Vinaka.
Here the local exchange rates are set early this morning. The Fiji dollar was pegged higher against the Chinese yuan, US greenback, PNG kina, euro and the Japanese yen. But it lost ground against our two major trading partners, the Aussie and Kiwi dollars. On the commodities market, oil prices were rising at over $53 a barrel. Gold rose to $1,868 per ounce and silver closed up at $25.73 an ounce. The South Pacific Stock Exchange recorded 260 new investors in 2020. Chief Executive Pritesh Prasad says the total value of the exchange-listed entities recorded a fall of 15.77%, closing at $3.47 billion. He adds that despite the most rapid economic downturn in recent times due to the pandemic, more young people are looking to invest. Prasad says they continue to engage both traditional media and online platforms to educate the public and investors on understanding the opportunities and risks of investing in Fiji's stock market.
On the flip side, we did have certain investors who had surplus cash with them, so they actually took advantage of the falling share prices and they actually came into the market and ended up investing, extending their investment portfolio, and that actually gives them a edge over where they were able to buy low and actually will be able to sell at a higher price in years to come when the prices bounce back.
And that's it from Business Tonight. We now join Jamie with the latest in sports.
Thank you and good evening. Ahead in sports, FBC pins deal with Uprising Sevens. And Vonolangi blessed with the best. This and more coming up.
Marsami Naika, Gombo Lugu Latoka, Radio Fiji 2 में
The Fijian Broadcasting Corporation has signed an exclusive media partnership deal with the Mobile Uprising Sevens Organizing Committee. This means local and overseas fans can enjoy the 2 days of action live from the comfort of their homes. The tournament will be held at Uprising Sports Complex in Pacific Harbour next week. Akuradama with the story.
sealing the deal today, which will surely benefit thousands of Fijians, and especially the Fiji 7 sides.
We're very happy at Uprising to put up these sevens, which is now known as the Mobile Uprising Sevens, to help our Fiji team prepare towards the Olympics.
The FBC is giving back to Fijians, and live rugby coverage is one of the many.
For local viewers, we will be charging them about $10. The subscription fee will be $10, and for overseas viewers, it will be USD $20. Details on how to access the platform and how to pay will be followed in the coming days.
Not all the 16 teams from the Super Series, which starts tomorrow, will be part of the Uprising Sevens.
We also have a mixture of the old teams coming back, which is, one I can point out is Waimanu, Cross of Victory, and you got the consistency ones, got Lami Cavaliers and Dominion Brothers.
2 national 7 sides will be part of the tournament, along with Tambandamu, Uluinakau, Police, Wardens and Army. Aquila Dama, FBC News.
The Raiwasa Taviuni rugby team is using its challenges as motivation to excel on the field. The team, consisting of farmers and unemployed youth, is aspiring to make a future for themselves in the sport. Vinina Rakautonga reports.
Despite the challenges and being the only travelling team from afar, the team is ready to put on a show.
We brought a team that's all made up of farmers. No one is known in Fiji rugby. So we'll showcase the talent and show them that we can produce good rugby players too.
The side is pulled with Police Blue, Wandingi Salvo and Fire.
We will be going against big teams and big known teams in Fiji rugby. I think we are the only local grassroots team that is coming from an island.
Fiji Rugby Chief Executive John O'Connor says the rules applied in this tournament will be a learning curve for the teams.
Following all the timings, the rule, the breaks, the intervals, as per World Rugby guidelines. So it will be a new experience for the teams too.
Most of the teams and players that will be taking part at the Super 7 series tomorrow will also feature in the Uprising Sevens next weekend. Venina Rakautonga, FBC Sports.
Local manufacturer Paradise Beverages will play a bigger role in the development of rugby in the country this year. The company will be sponsoring 14 local sevens tournaments that they hope will churn out more talent for the rugby world. Sales and marketing manager Joseph Roden says last year they sponsored a total of 10 sevens tournaments and it has shown positive returns.
A classical example is the Taviuni Sevens tournament. In the Taviuni Sevens tournament, I estimated that people that went to that tournament from Viti level and Vano level took about $500,000 to that island of Taviuni, which is an investment which naturally will help the economy of Taviuni. And for us doing this, it will naturally help the economy of the country.
Being spoiled for choice isn't a problem Lautoka football coach Tangi Wonolang is used to, but it's one he welcomes with his new team. With Lambasa midfielder Antonio Tuivuna, Nandi player Afraz Ali, Bang goalkeeper Misiwani Nairumbe, and Supers Benyamino Matai Nangara and Sairusi Nalaumbu. Joining the Blues this season, Wonolangi is wrecking his brains trying to get the best combination for the Sugar City. Felipe Naikaso has more.
The former Nasino coach is still overwhelmed with the crop of players he has since joining Lautoka.
First time for me to coach an elite squad. I'm always on development side, developing boys from senior division to now Nasino last year. There's a lot of development, but this is another level. This is where players are much more superior.
Lautoka have been holding 2 training sessions per day as they want players to gel well ahead of their first game. But with big names in the side, there's also a lot of expectations from the team.
For this year, we have told Tangi that we want to at least win a tournament and be on the top 3 in the national league. So he's working towards that. Yeah.
Only a few weeks remain for the 2021 season to kick off, and Coach Tangi has demanded more effort from his players.
Trying to have a good set of backline where we can defend well, where we can do a good transition in attack and go back to defense. This is one area that I've seen one of the weakness in this Lautoka team.
Lautoka play Navua in the opening match of the Vodafone National League at the Uprising Sports Center on the 7th of next month. Philip and Icaso, FBC Sports.
For the first time, Touch Fiji will introduce a national club championship this season. The event is part of an overall plan mapped out by the Federation to help bolster the growth of the sport in the country. Tale Materikula reports.
The first of its kind, the NCC is tipped to uncover some of the best from the local circuit.
And that is where we get to introduce the top four from the affiliates, get to pit their skills against one another.
It will also be a testing ground for its selected elite players as they start preparation for its state of origin next year.
Yeah, because that's a pool that we got to start harnessing, preparing, because the next tier of competition that emanates out of that is stepping into state of origin.
The championship will also be the perfect platform to select players for the upcoming regional and international meets.
To broaden our base of players and also to get the core group of players for our target in the 2023. This is the World Cup and SBC.
The National Club Championship is scheduled to be held in September with the venue yet to be confirmed. Tale Materikula, FBC Sports.
Manchester United reclaimed the top spot in the English Premier League after coming from behind to defeat Fulham 2-1 this morning. Fulham got off to a great start, taking a 1-0 lead in only the 5th minute through Ademola Lookman. But follow-up goals from United's Edinson Cavani and Paul Pogba on either side of the break sealed the win for the Red Devils. That's it from sports tonight. In new media, Kia shares shoot up on reports of link to Apple Car. Find out more after the break.
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
The hot, humid weather today saw some isolated showers and thunderstorms across Fiji. In the west, it was a fine day under clear skies. Eastwards, from Pacific Harbour to Suva, a mostly sunny day saw some showers and heavy downfalls at times. Up north, mostly sunny and humid with scattered afternoon showers and more expected tonight. At sea, northeast winds at 10 to 15 knots and moderate seas. Turning to the tides, the next high tide is at 1:20 a.m. followed by low tide at 7:21 tomorrow morning. Sunrise is at 5:46. Tomorrow will be much like today, sunny periods, hot, and the chance of showers and thunderstorms, especially in the east and north. Looking ahead to Saturday, increasing cloudiness with showers across much of the group. In Fijian Pulse tonight, we ask, what do you think of 21 juveniles alleged to have raped women and girls last year?
They should be taken to task, no? Should be taken to task, and first thing they should learn about the principles of living at home, Start from home,
I think we should talk more about sexual harassment within the community and also ban the use of pornography within our country.
To raise good children, to raise good men and women, it's actually the parents' responsibility.
I think lack of supervision is causing all this. Some children are not monitored while on social media.
I think that maybe for children as young as this, they have more access to social media. So with that easy access at the convenience to anywhere, any place, they're able to access this footage, internet connection to go on these sites. And when they do, they're not monitored by their parents. So they get all these kind of influences and get the ideas, hence why they did what they did.
In the world of the weird and the wonderful, daredevil stuntmen are at it again, this time performing insane acrobatics on a ledge over 1,000 feet off the ground. Recapping our main stories, Fiji will only use WHO-approved COVID vaccine. US returns to Paris Agreement and PM rejoices, and more sex workers addicted to drugs. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. To our poll question this week, we are asking, should the next daylight savings be extended for a longer period? Visit our FBC News website to answer. And on to our shot of the day, clear blue skies. This picture was taken from Vunambaka Malolo Levu by Thomas Newton. You can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our various social media accounts, including Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. That's your news this evening. I'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, stay safe. For the month.
हमारे सामने नाइक है गोंगो लेबू लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।